it's a fast-changing place, and I always see people like us, I'm not from here, I'm very much a foreigner, but we're like foreign skilled gardeners, and we bring with us skills of how to kind of grow plants which are local to here. And I think there's a big need for people like us, albeit there's also a need to build knowledge, build skills here. And I think the opportunities for foreign companies, in the case of Dubai, well, we're based in Doha, so we're local to Qatar, but we're also based in London. And the opportunity for people from all over the world, including the UK, Europe, America, and even amongst the countries around the Gulf, to work internationally and really help this place change for the better are huge. And Dubai is a very busy place. It's booming in its own way. Qatar has its own kind of boom, which is particularly cultural, particularly funded by its sovereign wealth, and particularly related to the World Cup. And we're very much involved in kind of regenerating areas of Doha. And I think it's not a simple commercial formula of supply and demand. There's actually the kind of growth of a new chapter, really, in the life of these cities, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Doha, Bahrain, Kuwait, which means that we're part of something slightly bigger. And I think there's huge opportunity and need for companies like us to develop that as we are, and it's going very well. In this region, all of the projects we currently have are in Qatar. And they're a huge range of things, actually. They range from quite small, like an exemplar eco-villa, a carbon-neutral house, a sort of a new prototype house, to an 80-hectare master plan for regenerating a large piece of the central Doha. And interestingly, even though I spent many years of my life working on Musharraf, which is now more than half constructed in the centre of Doha, this is very different. This is like a kind of patching in, a repairing of a rather tired, worn out piece of the urban fabric. So it's a kind of bottom-up regeneration project, creating a framework, and that's again very real. It's certainly going to be at least partially delivered in time for the World Cup. So we're working at all scales. We're also working on a vast new piece of the sort of edge of Doha called Al Rayan Gate, which surrounds the Mall of Qatar. And these things are keeping us busy. There's a lot going on, and for us, we're working in Doha and London on these projects, even though there's a lot going on for us in Qatar. Well, in design terms, one of the very obvious challenges, but it's also an opportunity, is the climate. It's a tough climate, but and Europe, but they're no worse, and they're no more difficult. And I would say if planning control and planning consent is less of an issue here, things happen faster, decisions are made more from the top down, and as opposed to in Britain and Europe, where planning is a very, very complicated and constraining matter. But nonetheless here, the decision-making process can often be unpredictable. And we just have to work with that. We have to be flexible, and what we find is that a very positive attitude, always saying yes, always being flexible, always listening to our clients, and not worrying if the plan, if the timing, if the brief changes. We have to go with the flow, and that's particular to here. It's part of working here. We actually quite enjoy it. It adds to the dynamism, but it is a challenge. Well, that's an easy question to answer. I would say that more and more and more, if one thinks of buildings and architecture actually as urbanism, they're buildings which come together to form spaces, and the spaces make up the city. Well, that's what I see architecture as an urban creative work. And in that sense, the trend here in Dubai, also in Doha increasingly, is that making the urban realm more connected, much easier to move around without a car. Although cars are very important, cars will always be used, but the alternatives to a car, the metro, well, in Dubai it's working beautifully, in Qatar it's under construction now, bicycles, other alternatives, small rickshaws, walking even. These ways of transport are not natural at the moment to contemporary modern Dubai, contemporary modern Abu Dhabi, contemporary Doha, but they're increasingly becoming a trend. And of course it makes sense. You want to give people choice and you want people to be comfortable. And if you can spend 10 minutes driving some crazy route to go from A to B, or 5 minutes walking or bicycling, well, you want to be given the choice. And I think the other trend will be away from, it already is, away from glass and metal. Glass and metal doesn't really make that much sense here. It's foreign, it doesn't suit the climate here, and fine, it looks very shiny, but it doesn't look shiny when the dust's all over it. And deep shaded architecture, which is responsible to the climate, it reduces the solar gain on the interiors of buildings, reduces cooling loads, reduces energy usage, and looks wonderful. The light and shadow here is what makes the architecture here, and it's made it over the centuries going back. The tradition of architecture all around the Gulf is very strong, and it's not glass and metal. And I think increasingly there will be a trend away from that, not to old-fashioned architecture, but to common sense architecture, which is rooted and responsive to its place. Well, it's been very good. The panel I was part of, I thought was a very good discussion. I enjoyed it very much and learned lots. There was certainly some good common ground and also some good and interesting differences between me and the other panel members. I found all of the discussions interesting, valuable. Certainly I've met good and useful to me, valuable contacts in the interim sessions. I think possibly the format could be slightly enriched, although there have been quite specifically, people are not delivering PowerPoints, and I think that's a good thing. But some use of imagery, or maybe some involvement of kind of exemplar projects, like 10 or 15% of the event. Not taking it over, because I think it is a good format. But there's something where maybe it could be enriched, but I've certainly enjoyed being here and got a lot from it, and I'm very glad I came. This event is a talking shop. It's a platform. You could call it a forum for debate. Absolutely, and it's well structured in that way. And at the moment, that's where it ends. We all go away having made a contribution and having received lots, including contacts and knowledge and all sorts of things. That's good. But I wonder if increasingly, at the end of an event such as this, part of it, sort of one aspect of it, could be to produce almost a manifesto, or a charter, or a common idea. Not about everything. That's too big a topic. Not about all of design, or all of urban design, but about something which is trying to deal with relevant issues and make the world, or point towards the world, the built environment, being better. So, for example, one year could have a theme, and it's only a part of the event, but there will be a summarized, commonly drafted consensus, one page, and manifesto is possibly too big a word, but a statement on retail, or on materials, or on design for climate, or on architectural language, or on the relationship to culture. And at the moment, it is perhaps too open and too general, and not producing a product as a collective event, because it is a collective event, we are a forum, but there could be a kind of positive message which comes out of each year, and that would be a nice legacy. Actually, I think it already has a legacy, because we all go away with good stuff that we've taken away, and it's all part of the buzz of the debate. But I think maybe it could be more focused, and honestly, I think with the publicity mechanism that you have, this is a way of making a difference. See you next year, yes. Thanks.